Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, and with me on our panel today we have Joe, Paul and Mark. In this episode, as the missus said today, it will have to be a jovial episode, so no pressure boys. And we're going to cover the Accrington Stanley win at home and look forward to the trip to Salford. Well, we actually get the chance to look forward, and a win would make it a very good Friday. That was especially for Nick the Greek. He gave me the joke, and now that means that Nick doesn't need to listen to the rest. So see you later, Nick. Engagement, always important. Joining discussions, like, shares, re-X tweets, whatever they're called, and follow us on social media platforms at Sutton Podcast. It is really nice to see all the comments and various different discussions going on, even if I don't sometimes join in with the discussions. And big shout out to those who always like and follow and all the rest of it. Except maybe Johnny, because I'm a bit jealous of Johnny this week. I will explain why in a minute. But we'll dive in. We'll start with Joe. You're top right of my screen. How is Joe?
Joe is good. Are we just going to talk in third person this whole episode?
Yeah, that's fine. You can talk in third person if you want. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. All the better for this weekend, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, you were on after a win last time as well.
True.
It's a Notts County one, so
I'm a lucky charm.
that's what Neil reckons.
I might be doing the season review, so maybe I'll be a lucky charm. We'll be
Exactly.
in the Football League.
Exactly. And Mark, how are you? It's been a few weeks since you were on.
Yeah, I don't think it's been that long. I can't quite remember which game it was now, but
I'll be
good.
down.
Yeah, I think like everybody else, he'd been a bit lifted by the last two performances and results.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
sun's shining, even if the winds have been a bit chilly today.
Yeah, it was very cold. And Paul, how are you? Well, I know how you are. I stood next to you all game yesterday, but tell everyone else how you are.
Yeah, we did. It was good times. Yeah, I'm great, Mike. Yeah. I'm. What have I been doing this week? Busy unscratching away games that I said I'm not going to bother going to the rest of the season. Starting to pencil them in again.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. So a few little bits that's gone on around the club. Lee Hangold's moved on to Woking on loan. I presume that's him done for Sutton. I can't see he was on a contract beyond June, so I'm guessing he's done. Mm-hmm. He unfortunately got an injury. I think Mark, you said he had a bit of an injury reputation before he came to us. He was fine with us most of the time, and 15 minutes into his debut, he had to come off. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. Hopefully it was just a little knock and he's going to be all right and start firing goals at Woking. The ladies' side lost 3-0 away to Dulwich, who are brilliant. I don't think they've lost all season. It was 0-0 in the second half. We were missing 3 players, but it's a loss. But we get a chance to put it right with a match on Wednesday night under the floodlights at the VBS, and it's against Dorking. So I presume their cameras will be there so we can all be on TV. And good news as our under 13, the girls won their cup final, the Surrey Cup final today. Something to do with Fort Park, I guess they sponsor it, I don't know, but the girls won their final, so well done to them. And the aforementioned reason why I wasn't overly happy with Johnny and Lynn yesterday, they were parading around in their brand new kits, which arrived that morning, and mine still hasn't arrived yet. So I was very, very jealous. But yeah, a few of them started to arrive. So if anyone's ordered them, take your snapshots. I don't think there's a hashtag we're using yet. We'll have to work one out, but we will see. But that was all I really had about the news. I was quickly looking earlier. Onto the match. As I may have moaned to Paul a couple of times, I had to take Sam out of my team because I saw him walking through the bar area grabbing himself a hot chocolate. Because I was like, well, there's no way he's playing. Sam told me afterwards it wasn't a hot chocolate, it was a coffee. And he did indeed play and start. So I ended up with 9. I would have only got 10 anyway. I ended up with 9. How did you guys get on with your pre-match prediction lineups, or did you not bother anymore? Paul, we'll start with you.
Yeah, not too bad. I don't play that official game like you guys do, but no, there was no real surprises, was there? Although I didn't realise on the international break front, so I didn't realise we were 2 from that. But yeah, and out of that, Duke McKenna, I still fancy him as a really strong player for us. So it was disappointing to see him not playing, but international call beckons. So good luck to him on that. But yeah, I don't think it was a massive surprise. Although I still a bit discomfort when I don't see Goodliff or John or Eastman or Milson's names on there. But actually, maybe they are. Maybe the new crop are coming through, and they're new systems, new players in there. So yeah, but it was no great surprises, was there?
No. Joe, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I got 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what I did. I thought Nino would come in because I thought he's been playing everywhere. I didn't think Harry would play. I think I put Easty, but yeah, back front. It's kind of just we've got a group of players who are playing each week now, which were the stuff like 2 months ago. It wasn't. It was like whoever Steve fancied. So, we have a group. We have I think there are first names on the team sheet in the form of Charlie Lake and Harry Smith. You know what we're doing. Interesting to see Harry Smith captaining again. I know. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know. It feels weird, doesn't it? Because it's been Easter. Well, as long as I'm the club.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, obviously you've watched the whole time Easty's been with us, and for a long time, if Easty's not starting, there's always that little bit of, oh God, we're up against it today. But how did you do on your lineup and Easty on the bench again?
Well, I don't usually bother predicting the lineup, and it's become a bit more difficult anyway with Steve. I did have a very brief chat with Kitman Clive on Thursday. I was in the office and he came in, and he didn't give too much away, but he did say that this illness that Steve Morrison mentioned last weekend is still an issue. Oh, so right. if certain players are missing, they may be injured, but they may still be afflicted with this mystery illness. And Clive did actually mention Easty. He said he was in a pretty bad way last weekend, and he may not have fully recovered, which is why he was on the bench yesterday. But,
I saw him in the corridor and he fist bumped me. I really hope I don't get all of a sudden.
I don't know how contagious this thing is, but I don't know what it is. But anyway, the starting 11, I think I'm right in saying, is the same as at Forest Green, apart from Nino starting instead of Dukey, who of course is playing for, or at least in the squad for Guyana.
Yeah, I mean, there was the one change, but I mean, what were you guys ahead of the game? Obviously, we'd won against Forest Green. That gave us a little bit of, could we do it? Accrington do have an outside chance, or did have an outside chance of a run for the playoffs. Paul, we'll start with you on this one. What were your hopes and expectations prior to kickoff?
Fancied us. I did fancy us, and I think I thought. I mean, Accrington Stanley. The only thing that worried me was a little bit of a new manager bump, maybe. But I thought they were mid-table and ready for the cliche time on the beach type stuff. And they looked fit yesterday. They're really one of the poorest sides we've had down there, I thought. So I did fancy us, and the pitch looked better as well. I was a bit worried about the pitch; that might neutralise it a little bit, but the pitch looked better yesterday. So and as Joe said, a more consistent team, regular team. So yeah, I fancied us, and came to fruition, didn't it? I was mainly at the start very excited by that was a cracking 2 kick combos, wasn't it? that purple and that Argentina. It was gorgeous out there.
It looked absolutely amazing. Mark, what were you sort of hoping for at the start? Did you think we were going to build on the last week's win, or were you still a bit nervous?
Yeah. We always hope for a win, of course. We haven't followed up a win with another win yet this season. Certainly not in the league, anyway. But I did kind of sense that the win at Forest Green might be a bit of a turning point. There seemed to be a sense that that had given us a bit of momentum. So I was fairly optimistic we would get a win. I'd looked at Accrington's results, and I think they'd only won once since they dispensed with John Coleman's services, and they won at Swindon. But Swindon are in poor form themselves, so that wasn't a huge shock. So I thought if we could repeat the sort of performance we delivered at Forest Green, there was a good chance we could actually get the 3 points. And so it proved.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, yourself, just before the game, were you hopeful, not hopeful?
I don't know, same as Paul and Mark. I was actually quite hopeful. They basically said it. I thought they seem they're in the kind of position where they're not going to go up, they're not going to go down. It just kind of, we're here now. Nothing. We're not a threat. We're not looking good. They just appointed a manager on Friday, which didn't new manager bump, but then again, it's a day. I know they had an interim, but there's bigger problems with the chairman and that whole thing at that club. And I think that really they just want to get through to the end of the season without having too many nightmares. But I felt good. I feel like you could tell in the interviews last weekend at Forest Green that unlike the Notts win, there was a real momentum in the way Steve talked, in the way Omar talked, and in the way that he talked on Friday in his interview. It felt like there was something different about that win. I don't know if the 4-3 versus a 1-0, which we really kind of dominated and could have got more and really showed that we were the deserving winners, were against Notts. It was a bit, what could happen here? But I felt good going into it, to be honest. I felt like we could really pull a result out of the bag.
Good stuff. Mark, we'll start with you on this one. The first sort of 15 minutes, I thought Harry was a little bit harsh, saying that we're all at sea for the first 15 minutes. I know Steve made a couple of great saves, but we also had a couple of shouts and a very, very definite penalty shout early doors. So what were your thoughts on sort of the early part prior to Harry's goal?
I thought both sides started off rather nervously in defence. We were sliced open a couple of times, weren't we? And where a player had a shot just wide of the post, and one of his teammates couldn't quite make a connection. So we were quite close to conceding there. But their keeper, I think, was new to the team. He was number 61, and he wasn't actually named in the programme. So I don't know where he's come from, but I assume that was his first game for them. And there seemed to be some miscommunication between him and his defenders. There are a couple of occasions where, the ball was obviously coming to him, and the defender didn't obviously trust him to get the ball and headed it clear. And I think that was probably a factor in our opening goal. But as you say, Steve had to make one or two good saves. I think the really, really cracking save was after we took the lead, but he made one or two saves beforehand.
Yeah. And Joe, what's your thoughts?
I agree with Mark. We had that problem which we've had all year with that ball left or right hand side in behind the centre backs. Centre backs don't want to come out of position, and then they just have a man, maybe back post man in the middle, where we just have problems with that. It's just, I don't know, it happened with Matt, it's happening with Steve. It's just that's how we seem to concede. Maybe it's because we push our wing backs quite high up, then they're out of position, centre backs have to come across, and then there's people unmarked in the middle. But that was a problem initially. But it didn't seem like they were loads better. It just seemed a bit dragged to us, and needed one moment of real quality. Penalty, it was a stonewall of penalty, as I think you can see. I think because I obviously stood in a different part of the ground to where I normally stand. I normally stand Collingwood roadside near the away fans, but I stood on the other side to yesterday. And I saw it go through a load of players and then it hit, and there was outrage from the other side of the pitch. And I was like, well, surely, watched it back when I got back. You can tell you tell everything by the fact that defender, the moment it touches his hand, he puts his hands behind his back and gives the most shocked expression on his face. I'm just like, he looks completely like, oh my god, what have I just done? And the ref just lets it go on. And it's like 4th minute. That's quite a big call to miss, but it didn't really matter in the end, did it?
No, and this is it. This is what we kind of been banging on all season. Paul, I know you were on one of the episodes when I said it. Me and you were part of the outrage that Joe just mentioned. But this is when people don't remember these decisions because we won 3-1. So it's one of those that we're actually not going to care about. But what were your thoughts on it? I know you had James watching on iFollow as well.
Yeah. So on that. So I usually go with my son, but he was ill, so he was watching on iFollow, and I didn't see the handball, but gave him a quick text, and he said it was absolute stonewall. And of course, everyone around me was saying that as well, although in slightly fruitier language. But so it was a bit. It was just a shocking decision, wasn't it? But first 15 minutes, I think it was a bit scrappy, wasn't it? I would never say Accrington looked on top or anything. There was that chance that went across the goal, which was very close, wasn't it? I think that was early doors, but other than that, I think the wind may have played a part in the start there. It played a part in a lot of the game, didn't it? And in fact, played a part in the goal because I think the ball came over the top, held up a little bit, which perhaps forced the indecision of the keeper a little bit, as well as I think just being nervous because it was his first game. But probably our weakest spell of the game. But no, we were still. I didn't look in danger, and and the goal set us up nicely.
Yeah, we'll stick with you for the goal first of all. I mean, he did hold up a little bit, as Harry said, and the keeper had that, should I be going for it? I shouldn't have. And then he went quite wide, and we did kind of sit there going, is this going to go in? And it took a second or so to realise. Do you feel that was deserved at the time, or for the season we've had, it's deserved, definitely, but were you a bit surprised we took the lead?
A little bit. I say it was quite scrappy that first 15 minutes, wasn't it? And also, and then the goal came at a nice time, that's for sure. Because I think it could have, who knows which way it would have gone. But it did feel as though we were getting into it a little bit. It was a nice finish, wasn't it? I think that's an underrated finish. I think, as you say, took it wide. Still the pitch looking, it was better, but it wasn't, no bowling green, and he had quite a narrow space. The defenders were coming in, so it was a nice finish from Harry, I thought. Some of those you can see those missed sometimes, but yeah, no, great. And Mark, what was your sort of thoughts on the goal? I think Harry did say it was on his weaker foot as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing he scored goals like that before. It's an experienced striker's finish. He didn't panic. He knew exactly where to place the ball. He had a very narrow corridor of pitch in which to direct the ball, and he got it just right and just tucked it inside the far post. So it was an excellent finish. I feared he'd gone too wide, but he proved me wrong. So that was excellent. And I thought we were perhaps a shade fortunate to take the lead. I thought the game had been pretty even up to that point, but obviously you're always pleased when your team takes the lead in a tight game, and I think that gave the whole team a bit of confidence.
Absolutely. And Joe, what were your kind of thoughts on
that? Gave the team confidence, definitely. It was getting the first goal has been the problem this season, because I don't think we've been awful all the time, and then when we lose the first goal, a lot of times the head goes down. Good finish. I was I remember when he went around the keeper, I was just like, oh god, this isn't going to go. It's going to end up. They're going to clear it, and then they're going to go on to score. The good finish. Always happy for him to get a goal, because he's been, like Charlie's come since January. He's become a real fan favourite. So good for him.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so we did have a few other chances. I'm going to kind of speed through the rest of the half. I've laboured on a bit. So we had a few chances. I think Ollie had a header, but they had chances as well. Mark's already alluded to an absolute cracking save from Steve, which is possibly someone saying save of the season. So going in 1-0, there's always that little worry that obviously it can switch. But a little bit of, not controversy, but conversation, we'll say, with the second goal. Because, in fairness to Charlie, he was practicing them before kickoff, and he was taking lots of corners and getting them in. But he's saying the ball was over the net, and Omar's obviously saying, no, I scored it. I think if it came to a row, I'd back Omar for the goal. But Mark, how did you sort of see the second sort of scrappy goal?
I was right. I was right level with it, and in fact, a few minutes earlier, Lakin had taken a very similar corner and had gone straight to the keeper. He just claimed it with both hands, and he put in a very similar ball for the goal. And I thought, oh no, not another one. But this is a completely different outcome, of course. And the impression I had was his own goal, but that appears not to have been the case. I mean, I think live score credited to Charlie Lakin, and I think our own XV credited it to Omar. So it doesn't really matter. The goal stood. It's for wiser heads than mine to decide who to credit the goal to. So you just very pleased to see that one given, and for one of the few times this season in a league game we've actually got a 2-goal cushion.
Yeah. Joe, what do you think of the second goal, and who you credit? And it's not going to change anything, but who did you think it was?
Yeah, I thought the corner before, I was like, he tried it he was trying the curling all game, and I've seen him try it in other games as well. And it's Will Randall used to try it as well, and he succeeded at Rochdale last year, I remember. But he I thought it had been headed in the moment, because I saw they were marking Omar out of corners, every single corner. Like they literally, I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Sam Hart, but there was a corner down the Gander Green Lane end, and they put the ball in, and there was about 3 people on Omar, and no one was on Sam. Might not have been Sam, might have been someone else. But it was so free, and it headed the ball over the bar. And then I was like, right, they're marking him out of the game. I think with this one, you couldn't really mark him out the game because of the way it was moving, and you couldn't really mark, and it just needed momentum. I thought it went in. I think the people around me thought it was Omar's goal because of the way, I don't know, he reacted, but then Charlie reacted, and I was like, oh, but realistically, and in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. We were just a little bit like, oh, we've scored another one. I was like, oh, well, hang on. I thought we were just, thought we were done. I was like, okay, we'll just keep going.
Not used to this. Yeah, and Paul, we all took a moment, didn't we? Because we were all standing there going, well, that's got to be offside, or it's got to be a foul, or it's got to be. There's got to be a reason for that goal not to be. Oh, hang on, they've given it. I thought watching the replay that it was a similar thing to you guys both said, that Charlie had put it in as too close to the keeper, but then Omar jumped in and took it. But how did you see it, Paul?
Yeah, I was certainly looking. We were stood there, weren't we, waiting for the flags to go up or something like that. So it was nice, first of all, to see that it didn't, and it was a legit goal. Don't really mind who gets the goal credit. We'll leave that to whoever's got a goal bonus, I guess. Will be
I was going to say, whoever gets the lower goal bonus, they're probably the one that is given the goal.
I mean, it was nice. I mean, it's nice that. I mean, I'm a big fan of Rob Milson's dead ball prowess, and actually Charlie Lakin looks like he's up there with him. So he's got a nice technique on him, and as Joe said, we saw a couple of those going before. So we're looking really dangerous from those set pieces, by and large, because he's getting the ball in the right place.
Mm-hmm. Well, Joe, you can go first on this one. For the first time in the entire season, I believe, the ball has sat up for one of our players just perfectly. Normally it just spins away, spins to the left, but absolutely perfectly. Talk us through Nino's.
What a goal. What a goal. Just so satisfying the way it just looped over the keeper. So happy for him, because he has been quality. Like, he has been really good. He's evidently like young player, really raw potential, and he's still got things to iron out in his game, but he's going to be like a big player, I reckon, Championship League One in a few years, because he is. I think he's a really good player, and he can play everywhere. Play left back, play centre mid, and he was almost playing left wing yesterday. It was just like, and the way he ran forward, and in other situations this season, I can almost guarantee that on that 1v1, just keep on running, there'll be a pass, or there'll be a stop, or there'll be just a tackle. But he just kept running, and then the ball bounced perfectly. And I think that's the difference between when you've got the momentum and you don't. Because I think when we don't have the momentum, I don't think he hits that. I think he takes another touch and tries to shoot or place it. But when you're 2-0 up, you got the confidence. He hits it, and it's a really satisfying goal. It's his first professional goal as well, and celebration. You can't really beat the celebration. I was scared the life out of me though. I was like, hang on, he's done a flip. I was like, oh god. The last thing we need is him to get like a broken neck or something.
That's what I was like. Is he going to injure himself here and be out for a couple of weeks?
No, but brilliant goal. Yeah, really happy for him.
Absolutely, yeah. And Paul, how did you sort of see it?
Yeah, well, first a cracking ball from Charlie again over the top, wasn't it? It was a really nice ball over the top. Yeah, that ball just hung forever, didn't it? And at one point I thought the defenders were going to close him down, actually, because it just took so long. Probably, as you say, because we've never seen it stand up like that for a season and a half. But he absolutely got hold of it, didn't he? And there was a little bit of, I don't know how it came off his foot, or it was the wind or something, and there was a little shimmy on it as well. And we were right behind it, weren't we? Right in line with it, so that made it extra sweet to hit the top. That was a cracker. Really great to see it. Great to see it live.
And not the celebration. I mean, Mark, I tweeted as that kind of went in, what the effing hell was that? Because we haven't seen anything like that. So in a game where we had save of the season, we probably have goal of the season as well. But how was your view of it? What did you think?
I after Josh Coley's goal at Forest Green a week earlier, I said, well, we just don't score goals like that. We concede them sometimes, but we've just not been scoring, cracking volleys from the edge of the area. And then it was like, anything you can do, I can do better, because I think Nino's strike yesterday was probably even better than Josh Coley's. And as Paul said, excellent assist from Lakin. Lakin, I think, got 3 assists, didn't he? We don't credit him with that second goal. He got the assist for Harry Smith's goal as well. So 3 assists for the goals yesterday, and he just hit it with his left peg, and it just arced into the top corner of the net. Just a superb goal.
Yeah. So we'll do this as a double one. We did concede a late goal, a little bit of a dampener, although someone who I won't say who did mention in the bar afterwards that they weren't too upset that we conceded a late goal, because it meant there wasn't a clean sheet bonus being paid out. And also a little moment where we had Vinny Toumé make his debut, 17, I think he is. So that was a nice little moment. So what we'll do is we'll start with you, Paul, on this one. What did you think of those two things? I mean, the goal seemed a bit odd, and Vinny's little cameo.
Well, always fantastic to see academy players coming through and making a debut, and coming through the ranks, isn't it? So that's that's lovely for him, and lovely for his family, and hopefully he'll be on the sheet a bit more. The goal, it was a bit of a damn squib, wasn't it? After a really good performance and Accrington never looking likely. I think we'll be bloody annoyed if we go down on goal difference by a goal, but we'll just take it as one of those things.
We'll see. Joe, what did you sort of think of those two things with Vinny coming on? I mean, I did quickly speak to Vinny after the match, and it was like, tell me, did your eyes light up when that ball went over the top and you were nearly getting on top of it? It was like, oh my god, I thought it was going to be a goal. I thought I was going to get a chance. But what did you think of the academy and the goal?
Goal just came out of nowhere, really, didn't it? It was a bit of a weak goal to concede, just kind of letting them in again, that kind of byline kind of thing, and just ball in the middle and near post. But didn't really. I never thought that, like, normally in games, I'm thinking if we go 3-1, if we're 3-1 up in the 85th minute, I'm not comfortable at all. But I didn't really worry. Really happy for Vinny, although he is basically my age. So, that does kind of, but he...
Welcome to the grown-up world, now, Joe. What?
No. So, yeah, he if Steve wants to give me a run out on the team sheet against Swindon, I'm not going to say no. But, yeah, really happy for him. Yeah, another strike. He played up front. He replaced Harry. But, yeah, good to get a striker. We've got, I think, Jordan Trickett in the academy as well, who's really potent this season. So, yeah, it looks like the academy is producing some really good players. Ollie Kinder and obviously Jack Taylor. And Sam Roberts on the bench, Matt Kirby. And, like, it seems like they are really hungry for the for the chance to be in the team, which is brilliant.
Yeah, there's a couple of midfielders as well, Moore and O'Sullivan. I think they were both on the bench for the Charlton game.
Yeah, they were.
So yeah, Vinny. He said in his interview he is a striker. He did play at the back, and then he was a striker previously. So he's the exact kind of player that we're going to love because he can play a couple of different positions. But Mark, what were your thoughts on the late goal and the academy player coming through?
I've got a confession to make. I didn't actually see the Accrington goal. I didn't actually realise they'd scored until somebody mentioned to me the score was 3-1. There was no cheering from their fans. I think I was looking
fans
at my phone
were
or
awful.
something, and
Their fans were
I assumed
awful.
I assumed it was
quiet.
3-0, and somebody said it's 3-1. Looked at my phone, 3-1. So I completely missed it. But yeah, it was slightly irritating, but it was pretty obvious that we'd won the game by then, so it was no more than a fairly minor irritant. As for Vinny Toom, I mean, it's clear that Steve Morrison likes to give young players their break. Obviously, you've seen Jack Taylor playing for the first team and now Vinny, and I'd heard that he's been banging the goals in for the academy side. Obviously he came on very late in the game, for a few minutes, so didn't really have much chance to make an impression. But it's great for him, and I hope he becomes an established first team player. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the more we can get through the academy, the better it is for us. Even if it's one of those sort of conveyor belt things where we get them in, we blood them, and then move them on for some money. But 3-1 it ended. Everyone a bit happy. Joe, we'll start with you. How much of a boost is this? The first back-to-back league wins in well over a year. We're off the bottom. We're only 1 point away. I know there's games in hand, but how do you feel it's now on the Great Escape? I'm not going to sing it. Don't worry. Yes,
100%. I was so. A lot of my friends do not. Well, they have started following League Two because all season they have relentlessly mocked our form. But I have said I have a thin bit of hope. And I think, and the way I put it, I think Forest Green, I take them out the equation slightly. They look lackluster. They've only got a game in hand on us, and that's against Mansfield away, which is like one of the most difficult places to go, apart from Colchester made it look relatively somewhat easy yesterday, although they basically time wasted their way to a draw. But I think Colchester, they've got 3 games in hand: Stockport, Doncaster, and Grimsby, all difficult games. Stockport in particular at the moment, but Doncaster in the form they're in, Grimsby's a massive one for everyone. The Colu Grimsby game is massive. I think Grimsby are going to start getting back into this fight. I do think this could be a last day because I think the games we've got coming up, I think Salford, I think Swindon, I think Crawley, I think Harrogate, I think they're all games we can get points out of. I think we're saying, I still think everyone's writing off Stockport as a difficult fixture. It is a very difficult fixture. They're a brilliant team. But, we will have a fire that we'll want to get something back on them for 8-0. We'll have the home advantage, which I think will be a big crowd because I think everyone will know that's a kind of a swing game. And then MK is another difficult game away, but I think we'll get a big away following if we're still in the race by that point. And I think all the games we've got left and the momentum we're starting to build, it really is on. Like a win at Salford and a win at Swindon, that causes all sorts of problems for Colchester, who really haven't gone wow with the Cowleys, because everyone was like, oh, they've got the Cowleys and they'll be fine. They're really looking shaky, and we're starting to look like a team who really wants to stay up. Now, obviously, we are still with this games in hand thing, but I do think there is a pretty good chance that we're going to somehow pull this out of the bag. I've got a very odd feeling about it. If we finish 22nd on goal difference, the season review is going to be a very fun episode.
Paul, what's your thoughts on the sort of escape of it all?
Well, I'm not going to change my tune too much. I said we were down in November, and I don't think we're a very good side. But that's not the question, is it? The question is, are we the third worst team in this division? Because that's all we need to be. And we've just won a couple of games. We've definitely got a little bit of momentum. So I think we do have a chance. there's 24 teams in this league. 13 are still chasing playoff or titles or whatever. There's the bottom 4, of course, and there's only 7 in there that aren't in the mix and need something. And I think an important part of this mix will be when we get further down, how many teams are out of it and they are playing with one eye on the beach, as we discussed earlier. So some of those, what look like tough games at the end might not be. So Crawley at home, they're on the playoff, but they might be out of it by then, and so they might not be. So there's a little bit of that. There's definitely something about. I think Colchester are a little bit better than I think that Joe suggested. But I was looking. I should have been cutting the grass this morning, but I wasn't. I was studying the table. So here's the numbers of Colchester: 6-2, 5-3, 4-3, 4-3, 4. That is the amount of days they've got in between their games. They're going to be bloody knackered. And they're League 2 squad, so they're not a huge League 2 squad, so they are right in this. And as Joe said, I think Grimsby could be sucked into this bravely as well. They've got some tricky games themselves, but again, it's how many of those teams are desperate for points in those last 2, 3, 4 games. So to answer your question, Mike, do I think we've got a chance to win a third worst team in this league? Yeah, defo. And as I say, I've just put Milton Keynes in the diary. I've just put it in there.
Well, me too.
You mentioned Milton Keynes. I mean, one of the hopes we've got is that Milton Keynes have secured either a third place or they've got no chance of a third place, and they're going to want to just go, well, we don't need to get anything out of this. But Mark, what do you kind of think now? Do you think there's the annoyance is a few weeks ago we're like, can you just get on with this and we're down, please? And now all of a sudden they've pulled it all back and it's like it's close. So do you think we've given ourselves that much of a boost, or are we all being a bit optimistic?
We've certainly given ourselves a boost, but I'm not getting carried away. I said a few weeks ago that to have a serious chance of staying up, we need to win 3 in a row and then take it from there. So if we win at Salford on Friday, I'll be more confident. It's a tricky game, but 3 of the 6 clubs we've still got to play are in the promotion hunt. Crawley are now 7th, and they won at Tranmere yesterday, didn't they? Paul says they might have fallen away by the time we play them, but if there's still something in it for them, that's going to be potentially a tough game. MK Dons, like you, Mike, I'm hoping that by the time we play them on the final day, they'll either have secured automatic or secured a playoff place, and we'll have less to play for. But maybe we're clutching at straws a little bit. Colchester, they've got those games in hand. I think Joe's right. They might be a bit knackered having to play Tuesday, Saturday. And I still also agree that Grimsby could still get sucked into it. I had a look at their fixtures, and they've not got a particularly easy run in. So, I think there's quite a lot to play for, but I still think on balance we're most likely to finish second bottom. That's my feeling at the moment.
Well,
above Forest Green.
I hate to be horrible, but that might be enough, because if Reading carry on the way they're going, then we might get a reprieve. That's horrible. I've said that 2 or 3 times now, and it's actually horrible, isn't it? After the game, most of the chat obviously was about Nino's goal. Lots of conversation about, can we keep the aubergine kit? I know Tats had it all packed away, ready to lock it away for auction. And Steve was like, let's not hide that kit away just yet. He's like, maybe we'll play more. I got to meet Ben over from America with Jonathan, and I've just forgot the chap's name again. Chap from Australia who'd been travelling for 23 hours. Craig, for 23 hours to come and watch us. And they hadn't been to the UK before, so I did kind of mention that the weather yesterday was perfect visitors' weather. We had all the seasons in a couple of hours with lovely sunshine and all the rest of it. But yeah, I hope they enjoyed the day, and with the 3-1 win as well. So yeah, definitely come back again. Maybe it's a bit harsh if they've got to travel 23 hours, but never mind. So optimism for the Good Friday match. What do we need to happen? How can we do this to make it a very good Friday, Joe? No, you went first last time, Paul. Sorry. How do we win this game?
How do we win this game? Yeah, it's more of the same, isn't it? At the moment, just a little bit. Well, got to finish our chances. There was still some chance that, I know we scored 3, but we did miss a few. And on this great scheme of things in the season, there was that Harry Smith one yesterday where he just was 1-on-1 with the keeper, and it seemed like he just got his mind, just got lost.
Yeah.
So less of that, definitely. Keeper's in terrific form. I think that's a bonus. Salford not really. They're one of the 7 teams on troubling anyone at the top or the bottom. So, more of the same.
Yeah, fair enough. Mark, how do we win the game?
I was looking at the goals for and against the other day. I was surprised Salford have got the worst defensive record in League Two. It's worse than ours. They've conceded 73 goals.
Wow.
We've conceded 71. Now, I think most of those goals were conceded early in the season. They had some heavy defeats, and they got rid of manager Neil Wood, and obviously Carl Robinson came in, and he seems to have tightened them up a little bit. But I think there may still be a vulnerability there. So I think we've got to attack them. Probably rely on Steve to pull off some good saves, as Paul says. And it may be the fact that they're now pretty much in a safe mid-table position. They may think, Sutton, they're bottom of the table, second bottom, we'll beat them easily. They'll be a bit complacent. Maybe we need to rely on that a little bit. But I think just go at them. Have no fear.
You bully boys. Joe, go on in. What were your thoughts? How do we win it?
So, my best mate is a Salford supporter. And I asked him, how do we beat you? He said 2 things. He said, stop Matt Smith. Matt Smith, we need to keep quiet because he is the equivalent of Harry Smith, but he's very technical. He's also said, don't miss a penalty. Because apparently he says they give away a lot of penalties. They're very apparently haphazard at the back. I think he said, go out like all guns blazing. He said, because we are not, without dissing himself too much, they'll get intimidated, but they can be a bit, if we come out, hopefully with the Duke back, Harry up front, Charlie, and we press them with Josh Coley. If we press them and get in their faces, I think that's how we have to play. Like, we want everything from that game. Josh Coley seems to be a completely new player from where he was about weeks ago. Like, he was pressing everything yesterday. He looked like just energetic. And I think keep Nino in the starting 11 and just go for a physical and ruthless team that is going to give you absolutely everything, because I think not only for Salford, I think for all the games, that is what's going to get us in this situation, really, because I think really end of the season, especially Salford, even though Salford are like bottom of the pack, they are going to be fine. Realistically, they're not on the best run. Like, they've had a few big losses against Mansfield and stuff, and surprise losses to Gillingham. But like, realistically, they're fine. I don't really think, their pitch is known for being substandard, I think is the kind word. But yeah, I think we just have to be in their face. I think that's what we've just got to do for the rest of the season, because I think, I think we've been a little bit off the pace and a little bit low, or not low, but I think everyone's been in our face all season for 40 games, and now I think we've got 6 games to be in their faces like I think we used to be, and then that is what's going to get us wins as they tire. And I think that's just kind of, we've got to switch the mentality, because they'll be expecting from when we played them, they came to our place and easily beat us 2-0. We were awful on a Tuesday night, and they just completely dominated us, got like 70% possession. I was like, I've come to watch a game, and they've literally just not turned up. We have to go from minute 1 to minute like 96. We cannot like stop getting in their face. It's literally the only thing I can say, to be fair.
Yeah, that Salford game, Paul, you were supposed to be on that one for me, and I just was like, I can't do it.
We can't do it. Can we?
Well, don't do it then if you can't do it. Fair enough. I think your words were, it's supposed to be fun, Mike. This ain't going to be fun. So we're going to jump onto the prediction league. It's worked out quite well, because it's going to start with Mark. I will talk about the league in a sec. Paul, you have taken a slight lead, a 2-point lead over Andy with just 6 games to go. So you're kind of playing yourself into form. You did ask me a question yesterday about the not just the percentage, the number of right results. You've got 8 and Andy's got 9. So yeah, and he's played loads of games less, so he's obviously doing well. But Mark, what is your prediction for the game at the weekend or Friday, not even the weekend?
As you may recall, I don't like doing predictions.
I know.
And I nearly always go for 1-1 because you can't be too embarrassed if you get it wrong. So that's what I'm going to go for again.
Fair enough, no problem. Joe, what do you think?
3-1 win.
3-1 win. Wow, away from home as well.
Yep.
Right, and Paul, what's yours? But with the normal disclaimer that you're not tied to this, and obviously once you watch all the match previews and hear team news, etc.,
Yeah.
you can put an entry into your early thoughts.
When I do my deep dive analysis, yeah. And try and double bluff Andy. With
Yeah. Oh, exactly. There we go.
I do think we'll win this one. I think we'll win 2-1.
2-1. Okay.
Yeah, 2 penalties. As done by Joe's tips. Although we've got to earn a penalty, we've got to get a penalty first, which is not.
Well, we'll have Josh running in from one side and Nino from the other.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0. I just always seem to go 2-0, and I haven't got one right all season, so I'm kind of bored of this now. So I just don't care. The code is on the screen. If anyone does want to join in, obviously you won't get into any leadership places this season, and I think only 8 people can technically win, and that involves Andy and Paul not playing a few times. But we're going to wrap up there. As always, I haven't got my cup, Joe. You're here, and I haven't got my ear tension cup. But as always, we appreciate your ear tension. Thank you for listening. Follow, like, share at Sutton Podcast on social media. Don't forget to subscribe and like the podcast on your preferred platform and stay up to date with all the latest episodes, and give us those little thumbs up. I do like them. Until next time, thank you to our sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. Big thank you to the panel, Joe, Paul, and Mark. Thanks everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Next up is Easter Saturday with a possibly hungover Alex, who's doing an early one for me at 10 o'clock in the morning after being out in Manchester the night before after a possibly big win against Salford. So that could be fun. We'll see how that goes. But take care, and we will catch up soon. Bye-bye. United!